One of my biggest downfalls was using Claude Code on planning mode and creating an entire application from a PRD. The biggest downfall for that was everything worked and everything like looked good and it functioned correctly. But as I added more functionality and more features, I realized not building the architecture myself, not doing that logic work, actually hurt me in the long run because eventually I didn't know how things were moving around in the code. I was relying on AI to do a lot of the computation, a lot of the critical thinking. And I realized at the end, I was just like, this is basically somebody else's code. And I'm just on the sideline making minor UI changes, functionality changes, and whatnot. And eventually I realized if something does go wrong and things were starting to get kind of weird, the amount of energy and effort it took for me to actually go back into the code and figure things out, let alone fix it, was just way too much of an effort. And I realized if I had the architecture laid out and I understand from a high enough level, this is how my code works, here's all the components, here's how things move from one screen to another, I would realize, okay, I can isolate down so much. It's like more than, I don't know, 60% of the work. I can isolate down so much of the code that I know where things are, and then I can go and try to figure out the logic there instead of trying to like figure out the entire application. So definitely, in my opinion, if you're building an application right now, make sure you have the architecture down, at least for the important stuff. And then from there, when you run into issues and you actually need to go into the code, or when you're just doing general code review, you actually understand against your own logic, not what the AI is telling you, not what the plan mode is telling you. You actually know yourself that indeed these things are correctly built.